Early on, we came up with the universal loving, and I hope that's what we bring forth. Anyway, today we have music by Jimmy K. Smith. And Jimmy, you're just going to have to let us know who you are with your music. There's no bio, so let's go. You can tell us a little bit about yourself. It's all good.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again. I've come and played here a handful of times, and I always enjoy myself every time. I've been here with like a full band. Just going to do a couple solo ask for. So let me get started. Thanks, guys.
so much, Jimmy. We don't need a bio. We heard the, yeah, it's really great and a great way to start our Sunday gathering. Thank you. We'll have more from him later on in our presentation. I would like to say this at the beginning because I forget sometimes, but thanks to all the people who make this happen. The people that come up at 9 in the morning and go to the storage facility and go and get everything, make things look effortless. I'm a theater teacher, so I always tell my students, the technicians are invisible. When you're doing your job, you're invisible. But they exist, and they're here, and they give up a lot. Their Sundays. So thank you all very much. I just want that at the forefront of today because we have a new sound system, and it's wonderful, and it's so much fun because we can hear, and it's not crackly, and anyway, it's our community from someone very near and dear to my heart, my husband. And I had no idea. I saw the movie Shiny Happy People. I had no idea his experience growing up because I grew up Greek Orthodox, and I really don't have religious. I just love my community, okay? But he does. And this last couple of weeks, he's done a lot to meet with his sisters and brother and everything. And so I'm very proud of you for coming up to talk about it today. And I look forward to you sharing that with our group. So no further ado, my husband, Ken Ismert.
So can you hear me? Start mumbling or something. So I heard that Dr. Heacock was giving a lecture that on Bill Gothard, and I was like, hey, I know that guy. So I'm here to talk about Bill Gothard, Christian fundamentalist, who ran this seminar called The Institute in Basic Youth Conflicts. And boy, true to its name, did the IBYC stir up lots of conflict family. My name is Ken Ismert. I grew up in a cult. Well, no, that's too much. I spent lots of my high school life attending a series of seminars put on by a cultish, super conservative Christian group bent on making teenagers as miserable as possible. I didn't know it at the time, but this group and its leader would, decades later, spring into national prominence as the happy, shiny people, or the shiny, happy people, whatever you prefer. Our family was never officially in a cult. I just want to emphasize that we almost fell into the event horizon of a semi-cultish leader who influenced thousands with his semi-cultish seminar. The man was Bill Gothard. As I said, well, we're going over it again. The seminar was called Institute in Basic Youth Conflicts. So who is Bill Gothard? Imagine the most pasty-faced white dude you will ever meet, and add a thin-lipped, crooked smile. Next, give him the most bland, monotone, and totally repressed personality that you can imagine. That was Bill. Add an emotionless talking style and top it off with a head full of wacky ideas, and you got your basic Bill bot. So what was the seminar? As we talked about, the Institute in Basic Youth Conflicts. For our family, the emphasis was definitely conflict. It was a 6-day marathon of driving to the Coliseum on a weekday evening, watching videos on topics of the night, chock full of questionable theology, filling out seminar workbooks with their weird diagrams, pushing the idea that you should feel guilty about something, actually quite a list of things. Driving back home after 5 hours of cultish enlightenment, indoctrination. The seminar ended with an all-Saturday Bill-a-thon, topping our little heads to the brim with repressive teachings for the faithful. I am deeply ashamed to admit that I went through this ordeal 5 times. It was the most masochistic thing I've ever done. So, in response to the topic of this day, I decided to poll my siblings and get their recollections of this unhappy part of our growing up. Here is a list of some of these unhappy things. The one thing the Sibs all mentioned was this idea of the umbrellas of protection. It was a hierarchy of authority represented by a stack of umbrellas. You had the big umbrella on top, and a little less wide umbrella, and then a little tiny umbrella at the bottom, and that represented Jesus, Father, and the family. So Jesus was the top umbrella that shielded you from the arts of Satan. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but the major umbrella was, of course, Jesus, and it represented his absolute authority over the family. The second umbrella down, not quite as wide as the first, was the Father. So the Father was the provider and protector of the family. He had absolute authority over his family, just like Christ had absolute authority over him. And then there was Mom, who just had authority over the kids. And the kids who were SOL. So that was all kind of gloomy, but the real problem with it is for the wrong personalities. This was an invitation for semi-abusive behavior. You always buck it up to the next higher umbrella and get what you needed done. And then there was guilt about normal teenage growing up. So it was during session 09 of the seminar that I found out I was concupiscent, a $3 word that meant full of hormonal attraction. The session was titled The Development of Reprobation, but it was really about that other kind of bation. Actually, near the end of my stint, I actually had an epiphany moment when I was called up to the podium at our little church and asked to give a talk up, of Bill Gothard. And I said, Bill Gothard's great. I don't know why he's great. He does wonderful things for what? For who? Just kind of, to borrow a word from the next lecture, kind of deconstructed a little spot. The next, maybe even more important, was dating misery. All Sibs agreed that the greatest missional angst was over dating or the restriction thereof. IBYC did its best to impose strictures over dating. There were courtship rules. Young suitors for the hand of one of my sisters had to go ask Dad for permission. Similarly, the young Ismert swains were compelled to ask the girl's father for permission to date. That got filed into the ain't gonna happen category. Then there was the cringy dating contract. You had to write up a little contract describing the limits of physical contact that you would allow yourself to go in a dating relationship and promise not to cross those lines. I put in a secret clause in my contract that said I would never date under such humiliating rules. But these rules effectively killed the dating life of me and my Sibs. And that's all I have. So, welcome to the wacky world of Bill.
Well, with that, thank you, Ken. That was wonderful. And I appreciate you sharing with us your experience, because I'm sure we're going to hear more about this as we go on. We're going to have a coffee break right now. Oh, wait. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, yes. All right, well, let's go have our coffee break. May it meet some new people, enjoy, have a little social. We're going to be right back with Clint Heacock.
I can't hear you, Tim.
I'm ready, yeah. Yeah, no, they were asking me if I was ready. Yes, we are ready to go. You guys can all come in and it'll be fine. All right. I'm so glad everybody had such a nice, am I okay? Thank you. Had such a nice break. Hope you got to meet people, talk to people, find out some fun stuff. about your own experiences. Right now, we are going to have our main talk. Dr. Clint, we're going to straight to the main talk, and then we'll have our music afterwards. Dr. Clint Heacock is a Renaissance man. We have the editor of his book here with us, Tim Sledge. And Tim was telling me all the amazing things he's done. And he has been I can't remember anything you said. Tim, you want to come tell everybody real quick? Just stand up.
He's taught woodworking and also worked as a skilled carpenter and has a PhD in Bible. So he's got the whole package.
Right. It says, thank you. And he's a former evangelical pastor and Bible college teacher for more than 20 years. From Seattle, Washington, later and he taught at many schools. You can read these. And it was during his time as a pastor in Portland and to deconstruct his faith. And it took many years to come to that he was no longer Christian, and that 8 years ago he started a Mind Shift podcast, since Dismantling Doctrine podcast, to help educate and inform listeners. So, very excited to have him today. The book is third on the Amazon list of from agnosticism books. So we're very excited to have him today. With no further ado, welcome Dr. Heacock.
where I'm actually coming from North Wales. I've been here for about 20 years in this definition. So it's a lot of text, it's a lot of information, but don't worry about that now. I'm going to break this down sort of into bullet points and we'll talk about each one. Going on, there's another article on her site, and she says, quote, I'm going to move this screen. She says, quote, religious trauma syndrome is the condition experienced by people who are struggling with leaving an authoritarian, dogmatic religion and coping with the damage of indoctrination. They may be going through the shattering of a personally meaningful faith and or breaking away and deconstructing from a controlling community and lifestyle. So there's a lot of aspects to this. It's a condition, it's similar to PTSD, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it's more than just leaving the faith. It's also what's happened to us while we were in it. If you experienced any kind of controlling religious, maybe not even that controlling. And this is an article, like I say, on her Journey Free website on religious trauma syndrome. So I want to break down some of the aspects. I'm going to pull out from her definition and some other places some of the aspects of religious trauma syndrome. I got about 10 things to say. I'll try to get through them because I want to get to the Q&A. But as I mentioned before, religious trauma syndrome is a form of PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder. It's caused, and these are just some experiences, okay? Childhood religious indoctrination. This was something that Cannon mentioned growing up in a fundamentalist Bill Gothard home, similar to mine. Things like clergy sexual abuse or any kind of abuse, sexual abuse you experienced in church, maybe a leader, spiritual abuse. One thing I definitely suffered from as a kid, rapture anxiety. I was absolutely convinced that the rapture was going to occur after watching the movie A Thief in the Night back in the mid 1970s. And I was terrified that I was going to get left behind in the rapture to suffer the tribulation and then end up in hell for an eternity. And then things like victim blaming. This is where you, the victim, you are
As
actually
you
the
can tell, we
victim.
lost audio. Talk
Uh-oh.
amongst yourselves quietly for a minute and have a nice time. No,
Shit.
hopefully we'll get it back.
Can you hear me at all? Something's dropped off.
This is me during Zoom meetings for the board. The board members will all laugh because they know this is me. I can't ever quite get it right.
Clint, can you
Yep.
hear me, and can you do some testing for us?
Test 1 2, test 1 2, check 1 2. Can you hear me
Not here
okay?
yet, so.
We're still dealing with the new system. I could hear an echo in the background when I was talking, but then it kind of cut off.
Hey, Clint, can you test again for us?
Check 1 2, check 1 2. Can you hear me okay? Is it coming through?
Sorry, hang on. We're not hearing you, Clint.
Ah,
So, Putin dies and goes to hell, right? But Putin, being Putin, he works the system, and after a few years, he gets back in the real world. And so they ask him where does he want to go. And he arrives back on the street. And the first thing he does,
Hey, Clint,
actually didn't
you can hear me, right?
know.
Yep, I can hear you.
So he goes into this bar, and he's very impatient. He orders a drink, he orders a vodka, and he can't wait. He asked the barman, he said, tell me, he said, did we keep Crimea? The barman says, yeah, we kept Crimea. Donbass? Did we keep the Donbass? He said, yeah, Donbass is ours. He goes, and Kyiv? Kyiv? He goes, yeah, Kyiv is ours. He kind of breathes a sigh of relief. Okay. Takes his shot, downs it, slams it back on the bar. Says, how much do I owe you?
What I'll do right now is some of our ending stuff, some of our information we do at the end while we get the sound set back up again. Today, we are having a potluck lunch here. If you brought something, great. If you didn't, there'll be extra and to stay and continue the conversation afterward. Fun, and it's a nice way to, for me, it's much nicer than going to a restaurant. So I really enjoy across the table and visit, and I can hear. Let me know if y'all get him. We have a kids room, fully staffed, lots of fun stuff. So if you have children, or if you know people with children, Georgia is in charge of it, and she's an art teacher and wonderful person who has fun things and fun activities for them to do. We also have Oasis Book Club. It's to discuss The Sum of Small Things by Elizabeth Currid Halkett, Wednesday, August 22nd. And that's also in your, and next Sunday, we will enjoy live music from Serve Paradox, and our main speaker will be Seth Andrews. And so we're very excited that he is coming again. If you have any ideas for speakers, know somebody, or you could do a community moment, you would like to do that, we have a lot of members of our community do community moments or even main talks. The only thing we ask is that it's not your opinion, but rather it's not, you can, in a community moment, you can talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, but if you're doing a main talk, it needs to be, you're talking about doctor things, you need to be a doctor, unless you're talking about your experience, at something. But anyway, we just don't want any